stuck in a hurricane, 'cause everything around you just keeps on turning. I can see you searching for an escape. The fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, just take it one day at a time. Feeling like you're stuck in a hurricane, 'cause everything around you just keeps on turning. I can see you searching for an escape. The fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, just take it one day at a time. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, let's take it one day at a time. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, let's take it one day at a time. Feeling like you're stuck in a hurricane, 'cause everything around you just keeps on turning. I can see you searching for an escape. The fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, just take it one day at a time.
One. Hello and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your co-host Reynoso, here with my boy
Soltero, what's up, guys?
Thank you for attending today's funeral service, folks. Today we will be remembering a historic club, a team that at one point challenged Manchester City and tied them in their own stadium, but ultimately fell short after an incredible avalanche of offense on display by Manchester City. That's why I'm dressed up today, folks. I'm looking real sharp. I'm looking real good because I was worried going into this match that I was going to be celebrating one of two things, man. I was either going to be celebrating the death of Real Madrid or the death of the fucking give and go. That's what was on the fucking line for us today, man. And luckily, I get to celebrate the failure of Real Madrid just for one day. Relax, Real Madrid fans, just for one day. Let me have this. You guys have had this for many years. Let me have this for one day. And on the flip side, we get to rejoice because part of this matchup was your prediction and your take on what you thought would happen, and it stirred up a lot of controversy, man. A lot of comments, a lot of threats being thrown at us, and a lot on the line with us saying that if Manchester City were to lose to Real Madrid, we as a collective would write a 10-page apology letter. Fast forward to today, Manchester City blows out Real Madrid 4-0 at the Etihad Stadium. And we are here streaming live in celebration of this result.
Absolutely.
How do you feel?
4 goals, bro. 4 goals in a semi-final against the most royal team of this competition, Real Madrid. Manchester City blows them out, and they keep a clean sheet at the Etihad. What's crazy, man? I shouldn't even have much to say here. This analysis is simple because this was always going to happen. If you have watched Real Madrid and Manchester City play in their respective leagues the last 5 months, the result here was very clear in my opinion. And let me package it real nicely for the people out there. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is the best Manchester City team I have ever seen. And what really boggles my mind is that people, I honestly don't think see it. And maybe they're just used to Manchester City always winning the Premier League and not being successful in the Champions League. But I think times are changing now. But again, the analysis is simple. You have Erling Haaland, Riyad Mahrez off the bench, not even starting because you don't need him that much when you have a guy like Bernardo Silva in that same position. On the other side, you have Jack Grealish, who is world class. If you're denying it, then you're just lying to yourself. He is a world class winger. And then you're not even looking at the midfield, which is all just pure world class players in Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, and Pedri, and even John Stones when he's in there, which is ridiculous. But then beyond that, the defensive makeup and the system that Pep Guardiola has in place for the Manchester City is the most comfortable I've ever seen their defense. And maybe statistically their defense might not be as good as it has been in past years, but they look so comfy out there because they know exactly what to do. If Akanji gets drawn out, you have Ruben Diaz filling in that position. Then you'll have Pedri or Gundogan or Stones drop in. Sorry, Rodri, my bad. Thank you. Drop in back if you
Pedri
need
would
to.
be fired.
Yeah. And so there's just so much rotation, so much intentional movement at the back that they almost don't even have to think about it. They're robotic. And that's actually a really good thing for this Manchester City side. And then going forward, I already said, they have the best offense right now in all of world football. And I know in the past they've had players like Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, all 3 world-class players. But the players they have in place now are all even better than them. And then you still have a guy like Julian Alvarez coming off the bench and scoring goals. This is by far the best Manchester City team that has ever existed and why they thrashed Real Madrid today. And now to talk about Real Madrid and why they lost today, just to complete the full game analysis. I think today, and this season especially, since they're doing so poorly in La Liga, I think Madrid are finally showing their age, but in both regards. I think for so long they've relied on Luka Modric and Toni Kroos to dominate the midfield battles in all of the games, and obviously it's worked because those are 2 of the best midfielders possibly to have ever played the game. So yes, of course it's going to work for so long, and we'll applaud them for how many times they've won. But I think finally now we're just seeing their old age, and it's really tough for them to actively stay in a really tough game for an entire 70, 80, 90 minutes. And then on the other end of the spectrum, can you really trust Rodrigo, Valverde, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, for example, when they play? Can you really trust these young guys to really step up in a high-pressure situation and beat a team like Manchester City? And I think the answer is no right now. They're too young. Even Vinicius, for as incredibly talented as he is, and he's one of the best out there. His dribbling is just as good as Messi's, just as good as Neymar in their prime. Vinicius is that good. But can he lead a Real Madrid team against a collective side like Manchester City? I think the answer is no. I think they just need a little bit more players in their prime, and the players that used to be in their prime are now a little too old. So I think Madrid have a lot of work to do in the offseason if they want to go back to winning Champions Leagues specifically. Benzema's still an incredible striker, but he is not getting any younger. So I think there's just a lot of holes for Real Madrid. And then on the defensive end, whether it's Militao, Nacho when he does play, Carvajal, Rudiger, these guys, I think the system when they play defensively, it's way too one-on-one. It's way too individual. When they get beat, if one guy gets beat, they're scrambling to cover the space. And then from that point on, when you're playing a team against Manchester City, they're going to pick you apart. They're going to find a wide open Bernardo Silva once they just beat their man up top. And it doesn't matter if it's in transition or compact. Manchester City, a team like them, is going to pick an individual defensive team apart like Real Madrid. So it works 90% of the time because individually Real Madrid are so good. But you're playing against the top 1% team in the world. It's not going to work. So that's why I thought this result was always going to happen. 4-0, 5-1 on aggregate. Done and easy. Manchester City to the final.
Manchester City to the final after a couple of things that stood out to me in this match was that first half performance. Is there a genuine argument for that being the best half that we've seen from Manchester City in their existence? Because I thought that was incredible, the way they went up 2-0 with Bernardo Silva grabbing a brace in that first half. But defensively, bro, I think Real Madrid only had one shot, and it was that long-range, incredible strike by Toni Kroos that hit the post and went out. Outside of that, no other sort of potential opportunity was created for Real Madrid. And just the domination. You saw the stat. The total passes completed was like 6 times what Real Madrid had completed. It was for Manchester City. It was just absolute dominance, and you knew that goal was coming, and it could have been more if Erling Haaland had showed up in this fucking tie, man. Because it's funny that they scored 5 on Real Madrid and Haaland wasn't involved in a single one of those goals in terms of finishing it. Incredible, man. This team has been insane this entire season. What they were able to achieve today is very big, very massive for the team and for the club. The way you saw the fans celebrate today, you can tell they've been waiting for that for such a long time. And Pep Guardiola himself, we said it earlier in the season, this is probably his dream Manchester City team. We said it when they were down to Arsenal on the table and they weren't really vying for the Champions League title at this level of caliber yet. But now that we see it come to full fruition, bro, I think it's clear Pep wants that Champions League, man. And maybe he might even want that fucking treble, dude.
That treble's looking so feasible now, man. The longer we get into the season, just the more inevitable it looks. Now, obviously, finals can get crazy because at that point, analysis goes out the window, and sometimes football just happens. But if there's a team to actually get the treble in the modern era right now, it's got to be the City team, man. Because like you said, that half, pure domination, but it's just how comfortable they look, man. They never look really that stretched. Yes, they have to still do some good defending because you are playing against top players like Vinicius Jr. But for the most part, man, the City team's just firing on all cylinders. Defensively, midfield, up top. And they look comfy out there. And that's an interesting point about Haaland not even getting a single goal, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't even worried about it because it takes a physical toll to contain a guy like Haaland. It's not even about actually getting it done. It's just having to do it in the first place. Because when you're only focusing on Haaland, well, that's going to let players like Bernardo Silva just sneak his way into the box. And you're done at that point. But that's because Haaland is just such a menace, a nuisance up top for a pair of center backs to deal with, man. It doesn't matter if he's not scoring. City's going to find a way through their other world-class players.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people now starting to kind of hop on the Manchester City train of support in the sense of I saw one guy that I follow on Twitter. I don't remember his name, but he said that the 2 best teams that he has seen at the club level are 2010-2011 Barcelona and 2022-2023 Manchester City. Have they reached that level of quality?
I love this comment because I had the same fucking epiphany like a month ago where I was like, oh, this Manchester City team is giving me 2010, 2011 vintage Barca vibes.
Damn.
Are they as good, like with accolades? I guess we'll see at the end of the season. But just from what I see on the pitch, how up they get me when I watch them play and how offensively beautiful they construct all of their chances, I'm like, dude, I don't think I've seen a team this fluid since literally 2010, 2011 Barcelona. So, yeah, I completely agree with that comparison. Spot on, whoever that guy is.
Let's look at some of these comments and see what the folks are saying. Good to be back, man. Good to be back on a live stream. This is technically our first live stream together since the World Cup, dude.
Long time, man.
5 months. We got one stream in there solo when we did the Riyadh All-Star versus PSG matchup, but since the World Cup, this is our first live stream together. Let's look at what the people are saying. Marco Carmona, welcome to support the game. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the support. Appreciate you. He was a regular during the World Cup, so I appreciate that. Mohamed Kula says, stop doubting him when talking about Soltero the Octopus. Beggy Jr. says, Soltero the Octopus strikes again. The Octopus gives comeback from that World Cup take failure. Enrique Rios, our boy, says, the given goat.
I like that one. That was a good one.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
So soltero el pulpo.
Yeah.
Diego says never stood a chance. Rest in peace, bozo. Holland. City chewed Real up and spat them out, says Omer Fatih. Damn,
they
dude.
did though.
Marco Carmona says, I've thought that the issue for Madrid midfielders have been like a snowball effect this season. If I was Ancelotti, I would have started Rudiger instead of Militao.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. The thing is, I don't blame him for starting Militao just because he's been the stalwart starting center back for, I'd say, the last like 2-3 years now. But yeah, I mean, Rudiger's physicality, I would say, is a little bit higher than Militao. Either way, I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah. Interesting decision, but at the end of the day, I still see the same result. Enrique Rio says, Silva had Camavinga's number today. Put in an absolute masterclass. But that stood out to me, man. I don't know if I've seen Camavinga get cooked like that in a while, dude. He's been so impressive lately.
He's been
he
solid,
really has.
yeah,
but
yeah.
today, even the commentator himself, producer Rudd and I were watching, they were making a point to be known of Camavinga that he was getting exposed out there by Bernardo Silva, man.
Yeah.
And it was rough. He had a rough outing today. It is what it is. It happens to all of us. Marco Carmona, I would only have either Modric or Cruz in the midfield exchange for each other in games. I would still start Modric.
Yes, this goes back to my original point of I just think their midfield's a little stale, but it's because of their aging players. I agree. Starting one of them might be effective, but even then, I think the youth that would start in place of them isn't experienced enough to face a team like Manchester City.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Joaquin Tinoco, our boy, the guy that gave you the give and go jersey, says, I'm literally driving and watching this. Great game today. He was texting me, man. He's hyped. That boy's hyped.
Hell yeah.
Hyped. Animesh22 says Grealish was cooking, and he really was, dude. That one play where he got past Carvajal, and Carvajal had to just pull him down.
Oh, yeah.
That was a moment right there. Victor Clifford, honestly, Bernardo is one of the most underrated players ever. I did think it was fitting that, Holland was the guy that was projected to be the one that helps them get past the semifinal stage of the Champions League. Ends up going scoreless in both of these matches, and instead it's the player who has constantly been in transfer rumors for Manchester City the past couple of years. At some point, even I think like he was interested in maybe having to move elsewhere. Stays with the club and shows up in these two massive big games, and also gets that trust from Pep Guardiola over who I thought at the time might have been a better option in Riyad Mahrez. Bernardo Silva stepped up, man. Stepped up today, and he had an awesome half. Janae Doshi says, hey, Soltero, do you remember me? I wrote an email during World Cup, the City fan. I do remember you, my friend. He sent us an email just talking about his love for the team. I remember you, my friend. Covenant and Gomana says, Pep onto a treble. This is giving some Argentina World Cup vibes. Fate is inevitable. Manchester City will win the Champions League, and no one can be in their way. And that's the thing, man.
Yeah.
We're talking about all of this. The way that Manchester City plays, the comparisons to 2010, 2011 Barca, Pep Guardiola, Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, defeating the defending champions Real Madrid in the Champions League final. All to fall short to Inter Milan?
Maybe if there's a team to do it, they're Italian. I just don't, I don't see it any other way than Pep Guardiola getting this Champions League at the end of the season. I really don't. I think just as they banged in goals today against Real Madrid, I think they will do the same against Inter Milan. The difference is they're not going to have it, the fortress that they have at the Etihad. I think that actually is a factor because they've been unbeaten there since like December. Right? So going to the Etihad is almost impossible for opposing teams. They're not going to have that. So the neutral venue might play, it might play something here. But then the second thing is it's just 90 minutes of football.
Yep.
Maybe it's 1-1 and
Yep.
something crazy happens in extra time. Inter Milan digs so deep that they can maybe push it to penalties, and at that point it is a lottery. But man, realistically, I just don't see that happening because Inter Milan are going to have to do so much to contain this Manchester City side. And not only that, but offensively, players like Lautaro Martinez, Edin Dzeko, maybe Lukaku, they're going to have to be the most clinical that they've been all season. And can you really do that in the highest pressure situation at the club level? I don't know. I'm going to say no, considering how comfortable Manchester City look against any team. Because, dude, tonight, they legit look like they were playing against some regular old-ass team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they were playing Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But it didn't look any different, and the result was the same, 4-0. So, yeah, I mean, just realistically, man, Inter Milan are going to have to do a lot to beat a team like Manchester City.
Yeah, no, it's possible. The
It is.
possibility exists. I won't underestimate them in that sense.
Yeah.
I do think that when you compare the rival that Real Madrid was in comparison to Manchester City, it match ups differently. I think the way Inter Milan would approach this might actually be a little bit tougher for Manchester City. Maybe their game plan is a bit different. Their strategy ends up keeping it a lot tighter than what Real Madrid ultimately was able to keep it at. But the edge that I give Real Madrid is their offensive prowess, man. Even when it was 1-0 or 2-0 and they didn't do it, but I always had that feeling that maybe Vinny pulls something out of his ass, or maybe fucking Benzema pulls something off and just goes back to Ballon d'Or Benzema, or Rodrigo just pulls off some fucking magic. With Inter, I just don't know. I just can't have that faith confidently. I can't, man. They might do it, but I just can't have that faith going in. So I think the offensive flaws or lack of that they have will come to play against them in the final versus the Manchester City team that even as good as they looked offensively, they looked just as good defensively, dude. Even in that second half when Real Madrid tried to make a push, they still look so comfortable, dude. I struggle to see an outcome where Inter Milan doesn't come out of this as a loser, and Manchester City, like that comment said, is destined for a almost said World Cup, for a Champions League trophy, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And I liked how you pointed that out because it is, I feel like, going to rely on players like Mkhitaryan maybe to do something crazy. But that's so much to ask. The only thing I can give Inter Milan is their chemistry. Midfield and defensively, they're very good, and they always execute their game plan. But again, considering how good Manchester City are on both fronts, I just think Inter Milan will fall short. So, yeah, I'm going Manchester City.
Damn. Let's
in
do
this
a poll
final.
real quick. Let me just see where the folks stand. Where do you guys think, who do you guys think will win the Champions League final? Manchester City or Inter Milan? Give us a moment. Producer Red's a little rusty. He's a little rusty. It's been a few months. We're getting that poll going. He's a little rusty. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. Give me a happy birthday, Producer Red, in the chat right now. Happy birthday, Producer Red. I need to see HBs in the chat right now. HBs. My boy, Producer Red, turning 31 yesterday.
Let's go.
And give me a space between Inter Milan right there. Perfect. Okay. And then we're going to send that. Rudd himself has a microphone. I'm going to ask him a question here in a second. Producer Rudd, since it's your birthday, I want to give you a few minutes to talk to the folks. You sat down with me, and you saw that first half of Manchester City today. Now, folks, keep in mind, Producer Rudd does not watch football. He just focuses on producing. He wakes up, he produces, he goes to sleep. Then he goes back to work, back to producing every single day. That's all he does. Technological wizard. But when it comes to football, all he knows is what we say on this pod. So he gathers little nuggets of information, a little bit of ball knowledge here and there if he's listening.
They're golden nuggets, too.
Golden nuggets sometimes. Sometimes they're fucking shit, though. And I want to know, Producer Rudd, after you saw that first half of Manchester City, what did you think, man? What did you think about the Champions League atmosphere, the commentators, the game, everything that happened? What did you think? Do you want to get on my mic, or do you just want to speak from your chair?
I'll speak from my mic, but I'll put
He's in funeral attire as well, folks.
funeral towel. Oh, okay. Okay, no, you can say yours.
Go ahead, Producer Rudd, please.
Yeah, okay.
Got a Yoshi for his birthday.
No, okay. I've heard so much about Manchester City, and it just never seen them actually play. Bro, they are incredibly efficient. They have so much chemistry.
Yeah.
They legit had just dominating. At least I only caught the first half, but the domination that they had was legit insane. Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you.
Yoshi noises.
Yeah, but no. Okay, two things stood out. One was Holland, just an insane athlete. It really makes me think if there will be more focus on putting taller players as forwards and strikers, because the height advantage is just so monumental. Like I did not think that would be such a difference, especially when you're going for a header and going in for the cross, you know. But then and then also finally finding out who Pep Guardiola was. You know? I've heard the name so many times, and that's who it is. So
Okay.
yeah, it's my
Cool
take.
character.
It was so great to see it. So
Hell
great
of a
to see it.
character, man. Hell of a character. And good point. Yeah, Holland is a generational talent for those reasons.
Yeah,
And they're
an athletic freak.
An athletic freak,
Giannis,
Yeah.
Antetokounmpo,
Yeah.
kind of LeBron James.
Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. Yoshi with the ball knowledge, says Jordan Torres. And Mesh22 says, I think overall Barca had a better season than Madrid in the end. And the poll says that, with Manchester City winning at 83% over Inter Milan 17%. That's who the folks of the Give and Go have winning this matchup. It's good to know that most of y'all have yourselves under control. That's good to hear, man, because I heard a lot of craziness be spewed when people heard our Manchester City prediction. Now we can get past that as a community and we move forward. I think it's Manchester City's to win. Now, with that in mind, Champions League check, Premier League. Have they solidified that? Do you believe they will win the Premier League? Essentially, is what I'm asking.
Oh yeah. I
think
they
that's done?
solidified it, especially with the loss against Brighton for Arsenal this past weekend. That was for sure the dagger. If the other results already weren't.
Okay. Then that leaves me with one last question. You're facing your local rivals, Manchester United, in the FA Cup final. Do they win that matchup?
That's actually probably the only game I'm actually worried about from a City perspective, just because it literally could come down to just a crazy script being written for Manchester United to get some sort of silverware at the end of the season. They have the players to compete with Manchester City, but if I had to just put in a prediction, I think City will win regardless of how well Man United could play on the day. So that game I think will be really fun to watch just because it is a local derby. Nothing gets better than that, especially in England. And it's going to be a really big game because United will have such a good opportunity to imagine beating Manchester City the year they win the Champions League and the Prem. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think United players themselves will be fired up for that game, and they'll make it difficult. All that being said, I'm going Manchester City, and they will get the treble, I think, at the end of the season.
Damn. Debatable football opinions back in the chat. Good to hear from you, Augustine. His team will be playing tomorrow. Juventus will be playing tomorrow in the Europa League semifinal. He says Soltero the Octopus. Once again, Octopus is in the chat, folks. Octopus is in the chat. Ifinye Okonkwo, Levi says, I had to come back and watch you guys because you guys really put your heads on the line. It really did, bro. This would have been a different stream if Real Madrid won. This would have been different, bro. But like, logistically, I would have 10 sheets of paper.
Yeah.
Like, that would have changed everything,
Logistically,
bro.
it would have been so
I don't know what we
different.
would have
Yeah.
done. We would have figured it out on the spot, but we would have had to figure that out, man. But luckily, we don't have to worry about that. City, more octopuses in the chat. Thank you, folks. Thank you. I guess last thing I want to do real quickly is just quickly talk about the games tomorrow. Europa League, Europa Conference League. Check in real quick on what's going on.
I'm
We
down.
haven't talked about it yet. We have a Liga MX preview, semifinal preview and predictions already out on our channel. Check that out. Monterrey Tigres and Chivas America. We went in depth yesterday, and you guys should watch that prior to tonight's game between Tigres and Monterrey.
I highly recommend watching that one because it's a really fun deep dive into Liga
Good shoot.
MX.
That was
It's a
good
really
shoot.
good one.
An hour
so
long.
Go
Relax
watch
yourself. Go watch it. It's on our channel, on Spotify, everywhere you can find us. But real quick, Europa League. Leverkusen. My beautiful Bayer Leverkusen is down against Roma right now, 1-0, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That was my takeaway from the first match. I'm okay going home down 1-0. We are fine. The team did not play that bad at all. If anything, they generated some really good opportunities. Roma was just more clinical with the ones they had, so I'm fine. I'm going Leverkusen, pulls that game out, and moves forward via maybe an extra time victory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on that?
No real thoughts. Haven't really been watching Europa League specifically, but I think I had Roma going through. Maybe
I think you
I
did
think
in the
I
preview.
did in
Yeah.
the preview, so I'm gonna stick to it.
You like the Italians.
I do.
Okay. And then in the other semifinal, Sevilla against Juventus. 1-1 result in Sevilla. Now we get to go over to Italy, to Turin, and see what Juventus can do tomorrow. I predicted that Juventus would come out of this one with the victory. Augustine, I'd like to know your thoughts on this one if you can in the chat and if you're watching this right now, because this is his team.
Yeah.
But Sevilla, they got me nervous, bro. They got me nervous.
If there's a team to upset, a team like Juventus, it is Sevilla, because when you look at how their seasons have gone, Sevilla's had a really weird season. Juve's also had a weird season, but for other reasons, honestly. So I think Sevilla right now are just in decent form. But even then, I just feel like Juventus should pull this out. But the fact that it was 1-1 in Seville, I don't know. Maybe something can happen, but I still think Juventus are going to pull through.
All right. So that's Europa League, and then Europa Conference League is happening as well at the same time. God damn it. They couldn't put them a little earlier. AZ Alkmaar losing 1-2 right now, going back home against West Ham. West Ham took the advantage. Yeah, West Ham managed to, I think, come back. They were down 1-0 at one point.
They did, yeah.
Come back and score 2 goals to take the lead, and I have West Ham closing the deal out in the Netherlands.
Yeah, so I've been watching Conference League a lot this year, so I know these teams very well. I have Alkmaar going through. That's what my prediction was in the preview.
Does it change?
No, I think they can still pull it off. It's not going to be easy, though. West Ham are a good team, and I was expecting their performance. What I wasn't expecting was for them to be a little bit more clinical than they were, and I think Alkmaar weren't expecting that either. The atmosphere at West Ham Stadium in that first leg was pretty rocking, and I think it shook Alkmaar, especially in that second half when West Ham really started to rise offensively and just pound Alkmaar's box. But Alkmaar are a really fluid team. I think they have a better midfield, and offensively, that's where I'm still a little questionable. Can they really be clinical when they really need to? We're going to find out our answer in Alkmaar tomorrow, but I still think they can pull it through. I just wish Jasper Karlsson was healthy.
Yeah.
I just wish he was healthy, because his impact out on that left wing, it's irreplaceable in my opinion. Broderuger, or however you pronounce his name, 19 years old, he's good, but only in spurts. So I do think that's a big miss. But again, I still think they have the talent to beat them. We get Kirkish back, our left back. He was suspended in yellow cards. So I think we have a good chance. Alkmaar's stadium will be fucking lit. I think we can do it.
Okay.
We only need 1 goal to tie it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. You're really showing some belief in your squad here.
I am.
You really are. Rory Simmons agrees with you. AZ, special team this year. He
so
says.
special, man. They've been playing
team.
such good football this year. Their form has been incredible. And I know West Ham stuff. And West Ham might win this game, but I think Alkmaar can do it. If there's a team to do it, it's Alkmaar.
Okay. Marco Carmona, I will respond to your super chat in a second once we finish the previews here, as well as the Football Watch 90 super chat. We'll respond to that in a couple of seconds. Let me just finish this off with the surprise of the Eastern Conference of the Europa Conference League.
Dude,
Basel pulling off a result away from home against Fiorentina. 2-1. They take that result, go back home, and now they get to defend their own turf with a 1-goal lead in the semifinal.
What a crazy game, because you watch that first half, you see the atmosphere in Fiorentina Stadium. I thought this was just going to be a runaway for Fiorentina, especially in those first 20 minutes, man. Fiorentina looks so good, and the way they dominate possession looks so promising. The only problem with Fiorentina, man, is they're a little bit too one-dimensional when they go forward. And once a team figures it out, Fiorentina just start passing the ball a little aimlessly. And they start kind of losing faith in what they're doing out there. And if a team can recognize that, then Fiorentina will always be open to conceding goals and not scoring enough. Because I think that's where they messed up. When they were on top of Basel, they only got 1 goal. You can't do that. And Basel are insanely, and I mean insanely clinical.
Golden generation.
Dude, their lethalness in front of goal, they need 1 chance, and they will put it through. Dooney and then Diouf, Andy Diouf.
I think is that the guy that made that crazy run? There's one guy that made a crazy run on the build up to, I think it was the second goal. I can't remember the name.
Oh, yeah, Diouf. Yeah. He goes past like 3 players.
Yes.
There's a dummy on the left side. Elects not to pass it.
That dummy was dirty.
It was dirty,
yes.
and he reverses it into the other side of the corner. A beautiful goal, but it was a ridiculous shot. But it was placed perfectly.
Messi, like the way he just passed it into the back of the net.
Yes, absolutely. But they have that quality going forward. And then Jean-Kevin Augustin has revived his career here at Basel. You know, the I think Leipzig and PSG player, has found the love of football once again, but this time in Switzerland. And bro, his energy, whether he starts or he comes off the bench, I think is really useful for Basel because he's so fast. Okay. He's so physical. And it just takes a lot for the defenders to have to deal with that. So Basel, man, low key, I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I'm a little just because their clinicalness, man. It's so impressive. But the thing is, Fiorentina's road performances have been very good. And I think going to Switzerland, I don't think it's going to really hamper their performance. Can they actually pull it off? I guess we'll find out because Basel have kept every game, and I mean every single game, within 1 goal. So if Fiorentina can take advantage of that, they could easily equalize and maybe even take the lead here in Switzerland. So this one's really hard to predict, man. Okay. Really hard to predict. But I'm still just going to say Fiorentina come back.
Stick to your prediction.
I'm going to stick to it.
Same. And I'm going to do the same thing here because I predicted that no Italian teams will lift any European competition trophies. 5 teams total were in contention. We're down to 4 now with AC Milan coming out. I'm going to go Basel here, man. This is how it happens. Basel beats Fiorentina, and then there's no Italian teams left in the Europa Conference League, and then you're just looking at the Europa League as a potential nominee for that. So let's see what Basel can do here. Let's see what West Ham can do. AZ Alkmaar, Fiorentina. We got some awesome games waiting for us tomorrow. And lastly, I will acknowledge the super chats right here that we got. One from Marco Carmona, $5. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Marco.
Says, even if I'm not a fan of City, Man City has compounded how a team with questionable backing can be good. Watch and learn PSG. Yeah, that's true, man.
It's so true.
That's true.
I think kind of like what Liverpool did with Jurgen Klopp and what Atletico have done with Diego Simeone. If you anchor your entire philosophy on a manager and you let him run it, I think that's the best seed you can plant for a successful club in the future. And that's what Manchester City done with Pep Guardiola. But when you look at PSG,
Chelsea, you look at teams that struggle to maintain a coach.
Yeah, exactly. PSG, it's just not working for them. But I think it's because of that, because they let the players dictate how they want to run the club rather than letting a manager dictate it. And I think that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, but hey, I heard rumors Mourinho might be involved might be interested in the PSG job.
Well, then that's how you start something successful. But if they're only thinking of getting Mourinho for a year or two, then I don't care.
Right. Football Watch 90 says, will we see a hat trick in the final from Haaland? That'd be an amazing response to Mbappe's hat trick in the World Cup final.
Be wild.
It'd be beautiful.
If Haaland gets 3 in a final.
Football's in good hands.
Dude, yeah. The same year. Oh, my God, bro. Yeah, that'd be wild. That'd be crazy.
Wild. That'd be wild. And now we got to start thinking, if they do get that treble, then that Ballon d'Or might be heading that way towards Haaland, man. Or Kevin De Bruyne, whoever plays for Manchester City, whoever's the best player at this point, will have to be the top nominee if they get that treble. Football Watch 90 once again asks us another question. Thank you for a donation. My friend says, what shoe size are you guys? Futsal or 7v7 pitch? 7v7 pitch is my preference, and I'm a size 9.5.
Size 8 right here. And I've actually never played futsal. I never have. I've watched it before, never played it, never even touched a futsal ball. So, yeah, I mean, my preference is always and has been pitch.
Luis Melo, I think I agree with this take right here. Haaland will achieve his final form against Inter Milan, where he will score a hat-trick to win the Champions League. I just don't think it's possible that he goes 3 games without scoring. In the Champions League in crucial moments. He's gonna bag himself at least 1 goal.
Yeah, I have the same take. Haaland will get on the score sheet at the end of the game against Inter Milan. Whether he bags himself a hat trick, if he does that, he'll become that final form. That'd be insane, man. That'd be insane. And the last little talk I want to do is just Real Madrid. With what happened today, I already see reports that Ancelotti is planning on staying another year. So he does plan to kind of continue to see this project out, kind of helping them in a way transition because of the points you made earlier where a lot of players are aging and bringing in that new talent like Tchouaméni and potentially Bellingham, who might be coming to Madrid in the summer. That's a strong rumor as well. Interested to see what their future looks like, but I guess it's a quick prediction. Do we see Real Madrid back in a position like this next year? I think Madrid, just because of their aging players, they have a lot to figure out as far as winning the biggest trophies in Europe. So I don't think they'll win it next year. They might even struggle in La Liga once again if Atletico can maintain their current form, get some good signings in the offseason, and if Barcelona can just even keep players or get better players in their position, I think it's going to be another tough season, just even in La Liga for Real Madrid next year. I think for going forward, though, they got to give the keys to Vinicius. Like 100%. And I know Benzema is Ballon d'Or winner, the best striker possibly ever in La Liga. But considering the age difference and considering who you want to bank on as far as the poster boy of Madrid, it's got to be Vinicius. Yeah. And I'm talking not just mentally, but I'm talking about out on the pitch. Figure out ways to get Vinicius as successful as he can. Whether it's like literally running plays where you just isolate him and you put him in positions to succeed, because when Vinicius has the ball, that's when Real Madrid are at their most threatening.
That's when they're so scary.
He's so scary. He can do anything out there. Everybody else, I'm pretty content if I'm the opponent and as far as containing them. Vinicius has to be the guy for Real Madrid to build around, which is crazy because he truly is just an out-and-out winger. Yeah. And it's so rare for a player to be that good and not even have some sort of midfield quality, but he really doesn't. He's excellent off the pass, but mainly when he's in that final third. Yes. But it's crazy that Vinicius is this type of player, but he's this good. But if Madrid want to keep him happy and really want to succeed offensively, Vinicius has to be the guy that they make up plays for and that they just overall make happy off the pitch as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. That's a perfect take in my opinion. Yeah, Vinny Jr. is the future for Real Madrid. Marco Carmona, $10. Hey, thank you, man. You just bought us lunch. Hey, it's incredible that Haaland didn't even need to score on these semis to contribute to his team. Exactly. Just him leading by moving forward was brutal for the defense/midfield for Madrid.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, you could just watch Haaland make runs, and you'd be amazed. Because the amount of space that he covers and the way he does it, man, it's so athletic, but it's also so menacing. Yes. Dude, it looks exhausting out there trying to cover Haaland. Yeah. It looks exhausting. So 100% agree here. He didn't even need to score or assist. He just had to be out there, and you're going to struggle if you're a defense.
If Pep Guardiola goes on to win the Champions League, is he the greatest manager of all time? Doing it with his Manchester City club that has never won it. Taking Bayern in some very close Champions League runs as well. Not doing it there, but having done it with Barcelona before that. Is he the greatest manager of all time?
I would need him to win another one with the City team.
Another Champions League?
Another Champions League, sorry, yeah. I would need him to win next year's Champions League, a back-to-back. With a team like this is doable. And if Pep Guardiola is really serious about it, there will be ups and downs next season. If he can manage that and still win it, then I think he could be the greatest manager of all time, just considering of what you said. But beyond that, the systems that he employs with the players that he has at his disposal, it's ridiculous.
Mind-boggling.
The way that City is playing this year, I'm seriously just I'm left speechless like I am right now. I look at them playing, I'm like, wow, this team is so well drilled. They're like an oiled machine, like Germany in 2014, unstoppable. So I need him to win a back-to-back Champions League. He does that, then I could definitely put him in a conversation as best manager of all time.
In my opinion, I think he already is.
Yeah,
I think he's already there, even without this Champions League trophy. If he were to lose against Inter Milan, I think he already is because of the point you made of his systems, his philosophy.
It's awesome.
I think it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, man. And he does have achievements already, a ton to his name. The way he's dominated the Premier League for the past 6 years has been incredible. What he asks of you as an opponent to be able to defeat him is insane. And just the heights that he's able to achieve footballing-wise is incredible. But then you also think about other teams, other clubs, and what they're able to do with so much money. The argument of him being the master of a club that is drilled by oil money, I think isn't as strong anymore because so many clubs have that type of money now, man. And it still takes a really good class manager to know how to pick out talent, know how to improve and maximize their potential and ability, and then bring that all into a team and make it all work and come see it all come to fruition into something beautiful and something massive like what we've seen from this Manchester City side. So I think a lot of credit is due to what to what Pep Guardiola has been able to achieve. And I just feel like we're running out of excuses for why he isn't the greatest manager of all time now.
That's actually such a great point, because in an earlier episode, I talked about how Jack Grealish doesn't get this good unless he's coached by Pep Guardiola. And you could say that about like half this team, man. Nathan Ake has been amazing this year, dude. Akanji, coming from Borussia Dortmund. Dude, his rise in talent and ability and IQ on the pitch, it doesn't happen unless he comes here to be coached by Pep Guardiola, as you're saying. John Stones, the idea of having him be a hybrid center back and defensive midfielder, it's genius. Because when he gets involved offensively, he's an actual threat, man. like John Stones is already a really good defender, but now he's involved offensively for Manchester City. But that only happens because of the genius mind of Pep Guardiola. Rico Lewis, in the rotation that he had mid-season, that was amazing. A hybrid wide fullback / defensive midfielder. That's Pep Guardiola. So you're absolutely right. The philosophy that Pep Guardiola employs in his teams is unparalleled.
Wow.
When you think about all the other managers, Guardiola's idea of the game definitely stands out.
Yeah. Wow. I completely agree. But could Pep get Spurs to the final? Says David Sanchez. Top 3 for sure, though. At this point, man, if he gets funded, I could see him get fucking Tottenham to the final, man. I
think he could.
Pep is incredible, but dare I say, Mourinho has that dog in him. And I do think Mourinho has a good case as well. He's top 3 in my opinion as well, too.
Yeah.
But, man, what a great stream. Thank you guys for joining us once again, for checking back in with us and watching us for another time, man. It's our first stream since the World Cup. We're a little rusty, but it's been amazing to have you all. And, hey, Manchester City versus Inter Milan in the final. Make sure to subscribe to us, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify and check us out on Instagram and TikTok as well, man. We're everywhere. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.